Let's get back to one more controversial question.
Okay. I'm scared now.
You can rate the controversy in it.
Okay, out of 1 to 10?
Out of 5.
Okay, out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, it's up to you. You can rate it to the 10 also. Okay. So, what's the benefit of keeping traditions alive? They are not helping in the survival of human beings. Need to focus on basic human needs like healthcare, education, etc.
Hey, good point. Don't keep the traditions alive. Who asked you to do it? Do not keep any of the traditions alive. Are you ready for that? See, I don't know who asked this question, and I noticed that when people say things like that, you don't want to keep the traditions alive and everything. See, I'm speaking English right now with you.
Yeah.
You're able to understand, you're able to articulate, same back with me. The guy and the person who is listening to us, they're also speaking and articulating in English. Can we drop that as a tradition? So what I'm trying to say is, don't look at these things as black and white. Tradition is not something good or bad. You see what is relevant today, you take that and you move on. That's what traditions mean, right? What is relevant 100 years ago may not be relevant today. I'm not saying I'm not even saying it is relevant or not relevant. You see what is contextual today, what is contextual to you at this point in time. You carry on that. It's not for you to say, just because you made up that this tradition is wrong. If somebody else is following, it's up to them. Why do you want to get into that? It's working for them. It's not working for you. You drop that.
They are saying that these are superstitious beliefs.
They are superstitious and beliefs. Yeah, you drop it. Is somebody forcing you to do it? Did I force you to come here? Don't you think today everybody has more or less a free life? There's no at least physical enslavement in India, at least with the rights and freedoms that we have. Is it not true? More or less around the world, do you see any slavery? Predominantly?
No.
So who is asking you to follow or not follow anything? Most countries have become democratic. And beautiful part is, if you don't like a country, you can go to another country and still start a new life. Who is stopping you? If somebody likes something and they're following it and not hurting your life and lifestyle, why is it bothering you? Is it bothering you more that they're following something that you don't like? Or is it bothering you more that you're not able to find what you like? If you truly find something that you like, you'll be involved in that. You won't be thinking about what 100 people are doing around you. Unless it's affecting you in a way. Or it's affecting a mass, like, bigger crowd.
So it's coming from a place where, are we going backwards?
In terms of traditions. So what is backward and forward, you tell me? If I start farming today using organic inputs, is it going forward or backward? Is there something like that? This is just truth, right? That's how soil works, and that's the way it's supposed to be cultivated. Just because somebody said it 12,000 years ago, it doesn't make it any wrong or a tradition. That is still relevant today.
It's about their perspective is, are we believing things so blindly, and are we not thinking about the scientific reasons?
Okay, so are you looking at science for everything?
No, definitely not.
See, that's the thing, don't think of everything as black and white. Are you looking for science in everything? If you are looking for science in everything, you come to me, we'll discuss science. I'll drop everything, all my unscientific nonsense. By science here, I'm only talking about whatever science you and I know today. Okay?
I think it's best to go
just
with
because
the
we don't know
experience
something, it
rather
doesn't mean it
than-
doesn't exist. Very simple, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's best to go with the experience rather than
That is all
the
it
science,
is.
right?
That is all it is.
It's best
Right?
to
Go with your experience.
Yeah.
Because you are actually going by your experience only. You might be talking science, but you're actually going by your experience only, your gut feel only. Right? Because I don't see any depth in whatever you're saying actually. When you say traditions are going backwards, blah, blah. What kind of traditions do you know? My traditions are different from your traditions. What are you talking about? Is it making sense? What my family follows is very different from what my neighbor families follow. How could you say traditions are the same across the country? It's not even same across the neighbors in the same neighborhood. If you really want to talk science purely. Don't bring in experience. If you want to talk experience, I'm comfortable with that. Don't bring in science. If you want to bring in both, you go to the depth of things.
just like that on the surface. No,
Correct.
not
On the
required
surface,
to
you're
put-
just digging shallow and saying there's no earthworm. Earthworms will not be there unless the soil gets wet. They'll go deep down to look for moisture. You're digging on the top and say there are no earthworms. It will not happen because it's fertile soil and there's some wetness in the soil. It will come up. There's some organic content, it will come up. Without doing all the homework, you're saying there's no earthworm, so the soil is wrong. Just jumping to conclusions for no reason at all.
Can you give me an example of a tradition which seems like it has it's baseless, but there's actually an in-depth reason which we can't see. Can you cite an example in that way? There are few things which one has quoted in the comments about sati, human sacrifice, caste system. These all are Hindu traditions. Can you explain the scientific reason behind this?
Okay. So when you're calling something as a Hindu tradition, you're talking about the tradition of this particular land called India today, pretty much, right? Something, say once upon a time even parts of Afghanistan, maybe even entire Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and parts of other parts were also part of this tradition that you're referring to, basically, right? Now, it's such a big piece of land with such diverse cultures, and sati, the way it was supposed to be and the way it was called, it's a very voluntary action that you are in love with somebody. I'm just saying hypothetically, right? And this can happen to, I mean, I'm sure it would have happened to if you're in your teenagers. It happened to me, I'm telling you. I loved a girl, and the thought of breakup made me feel like I want to commit suicide only. How is that not sati? Nobody's forcing me to commit suicide. It's just my own thoughts, my own emotion. My emotion was so intense that I felt like committing suicide for that girl because I'm not able to live with her. I could not see a life beyond her. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just intense emotion. That is sati. That's all it is. Now what happened with times, and I agree with that, in certain societies, they started to push, if her husband died, they started to push the wife into the pyre. I agree with that. If you want to eradicate that, totally fine with it. But just to understand what the tradition or how it started, why it started. Don't simply say, oh, because it falls under Hindu tradition, it is bad. What do you know about the Hindu traditions? Like, is it like just one thing or two things? It's a huge spectrum. It won't take, I mean, one lifetime is not enough to understand the entire thing of what this country has produced or what this civilization has produced. You know, when you're picking up few things, take some more time. Do some in-depth research. Right? Don't just stop there. Correct? You want to just pick sati fully. Go all the way to the back. How it started, why it started, when it started. You cannot find right sources, find the right people. They will provide you the sources. Not with the lens. Just go blindly that, okay, I don't know anything. So start with this, I don't know anything. Right? It can get you somewhere. Don't get brainwashed simply. Just because some educated pundits are saying sati is bad, just because your book says sati is bad. This civilization has lasted so many thousands of years for no reason. Don't think it's a very simple thing. There's no civilization on the planet today that is still alive that we could refer to as ancient civilization. It means something. Don't look down on this. Simply don't look down on it. Do some research. Get to the depth of it. Even today it's relevant. How beautiful is that? You talk about all these love stories. When one dies, the other dies. Don't you appreciate that? I'm sure you must have watched all these Salim Anarkali movies. Didn't you appreciate, or in some way did you not get connected when that guy was going nuts for his lover? That's all it is. Like that, if I go on talking about this, everything will be, will open up.
That was like an individual choice from
that's all it is.
From that person.
So like that, every tradition that you find controversial or that you find something nasty, you dig deeper and see when it became nasty, if it became nasty. You understand? Sati has become nasty, I completely agree with it. Why it became nasty? You go back and see. Today it's not practiced anyway. Why are you bothered with it?
We don't know how those times were there. How was it relevant in that time?
That's all it
but
is.
Definitely this is not relevant at this time because one has to come out of that emotion and think practically.
That's all.
So
it's
not relevant to this time.
Correct. Again, if you want to put on a lens saying that everything is bad, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing anybody can do. You live a very pessimistic life. It's a very sad way to live for me. And I'm telling you all this because I came from that premise only. Okay, growing up, I was completely against this culture, the traditions, the customs and everything because there were no answers. Nobody has the awareness, nobody had the knowledge. It's quite simple. It's very easy to develop hatred because when enough people are saying sati is bad, your Hindu culture is bad and everything, it made sense to me that yeah, it is bad. It's a very shallow way of looking at it because 100 people are saying it, I'm saying it's bad. What about my research? What about my own understanding? What is my experience with it? Did I see any of my family members die from sati? No. Why am I alluding to all these things? I'm not saying just because it's not happening, it won't happen anywhere. I'm not even saying that. Where is your depth with all these things?
And I think we are looking at this with a magnified lens. This is just one in millions of traditions.
That's all.
If we can talk about the traditions like piercing of ears, and we need to have a ring to the left finger, sorry, left hand. I think this has a scientific reasons behind it. If we can dig deeper, right?
Again, you have to dig deeper, right? See, if you feel that you want to invest your time into something because it means something to you, you do it. Or else you don't talk about it because you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Right? It took me years and years and years of me going through research and understanding, because that's what I cared about. I cared about understanding this culture in depth. I cared about understanding the soil in depth. I cared about understanding what this tree is all about. And then I'm talking about it. I don't talk about the cars and motorbikes and stuff, because I did not spend any time with them. If I say this bike is bad just because I heard from somewhere else, how shallow is that? How would a person with expertise in motorbikes industry feel when I make a stupid statement like that?
It's like, don't talk about it without doing a proper research or without experiencing it.
That's it.
Just,
You don't know
just
anything.
Don't talk
just simply, you're simply throwing away your energies. Why do you want to do that for yourself? Right? I care about you. I'll be honest, because I was there. I can relate to whatever you're going through. Don't simply throw away your energies like that. Right? Just to provoke people, or don't get provocated also simply just because somebody is throwing dirt on you. You do your research.
Yeah.
And present the facts. At the end of the day, if you present the facts and the other person is unwilling, there's nothing you can do about it. You simply say that, because you know it's not your job to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
their willingness that will bring them there. It's not your job to make them come up till here.